We're live, man.
And we're live.
We're already live. Yeah.
I hope this is the clean version.
If it's not,
We're gonna be in trouble.
yeah. If it's not, we're probably gonna get sued. It's okay.
Let me make sure first, right?
No, just go. Now my whole team is here. Just in case.
It's okay. Good morning,
Guys, good morning. The whole team technically is not here.
The whole team is definitely not here yet, but
Ethan's probably out in New Hampshire and not for pleasure. And John is on a business trip trying to grow the biz.
John's living his best life right now, though. Right?
Yeah, so we got Alan Rick. It's one syllable just like John, so Alan Rick fits right in to what we usually do.
Live with Alan Rick.
And what are we going to talk about today, Albert?
We're talking replacement cost versus market value.
Yep.
And loan amount, right? Because those are all things that are really equivalent, I guess, when it comes to insurance. I think that's one of the questions that we get. How many times a day, Rick, do we get that question? Or like, hey, Rick, I see this quote you sent me. Buying my home for $400,000.
Yeah.
Why do I only have $200,000 worth of coverage?
Yeah, yeah, and I always use my classic example of, if you're buying a home for, $700,000 and it's a cottage on the water in like Narragansett or something, you're really paying for the view there. You're paying for the location. It's a vacation spot. There's a lot of things you're paying for that have nothing to do with rebuilding the home. So, when we're insuring cottage, 1,000 square foot cottage, and you're buying it for $800,000, and we're insuring it for $250,000, that is why we're just concerned with getting you back to where you were before. So.
Yeah, I think this is probably a great year. I feel like over the past few months, especially, I've been getting this question a lot, right? So I think it's a good year to really kind of pinpoint on this topic because of inflation. We know everything is inflated, but we also know that the housing market's also inflated too, right? So when we see the appraisals come back at $400,000, not that we don't care about that amount because we're just insuring it.
We really we don't know.
We don't. Yeah, I mean the truth is we don't
sugarcoat you guys. We don't care about the appraisal.
Yeah, we don't care. I mean it's good to look at it. I think for stuff that we need sometimes, but when it comes to that amount, there's no denying it. We just don't care.
I will ask for an appraisal, and I'm guilty of it many times when there's no listing online because we can't get any pictures.
Yeah,
of the
good
house.
for photos. Yep.
So it's good for photos. It's good for you can see if there's no. Sometimes there's no property card. You just can't find it. It might be one of those like weird zip codes where it's two different towns or something, or it's in Maine, and I feel like they just don't have property cards up there. So
they just don't know where they are.
They just can't find it. It's just a log, and
they use log still.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on up there. But so then we use the appraisal. We can see the square footage and all that, and try to get an accurate cost to rebuild. And then at the end of the day, we end up reviewing it with the client because sometimes something got done, the property card's not reflecting it, maybe the whole basement's finished now and you click finish basement, you're gonna add $40,000 right now. So so we our prompt here is, should I insure my home for its replacement cost or my loan amount?
Yeah.
So two extremes. The one I already brought up with the cottage on the water, you're paying way more for this place to get it versus the replacement cost to rebuild it. Other extreme, it's starting to catch up now because of the crazy market we're in. But back in the day, you buy a Fall River 3 family or Providence 3 family for $300,000.
Yeah.
We're coming in with quotes. Why is the cost to rebuild $850,000? I was like, well, if it's 3,000 square feet or sometimes 4, sometimes it's 4,000 square feet. You're never rebuilding that thing for $300,000. I mean, it's just never gonna happen. So those are our two extremes. And probably the most questions we'll get stem from those situations. So.
Yeah, and where does that number come from, right? That's always a question we get. How did you calculate this, $300,000? I think the point I always use is, every insurer, right, so every carrier has their own, we don't want to say algorithm, but own way of figuring out what it costs to rebuild based on the square footage, anything that's, ancillary on the home, right? Decks, porches, things like that.
Yep.
But every company is different, right? So one company may come in at $290, let's say. One company may come in at $320. It's kind of like, if you were redoing your kitchen in your house, right? You call 4 contractors.
Or your bathroom.
Right? And you call,
Al got his bathroom redone.
I did
within the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, within the last year. Yeah.
I John took a shower in your bathroom, man, while it was getting redone. I didn't want to say it.
I was wondering why my head and shoulders seemed
your
kind of
water
low.
bill went up. Yep. No, you did tell me honestly.
But yeah, if you called 6 or 7 contractors for quotes, you're gonna get 6 or 7 numbers, right? Different numbers. So that's really the intent behind it. Is every company has a different way of calculating that.
And then there's some companies that, correct me if I'm wrong here, I'm not wrong. There's some companies that make you insure to 100% replacement cost. They, the standard carriers of the world. I'm not going to get too much into functional replacement costs because that's another thing that we can kind of touch on real quick, I guess. But 100% replacement cost, you're looking at, if you're doing it legit at 100% replacement cost, and it's one of those old 3 families.
Yeah.
It's got plaster. It's got crown moldings, stuff that just costs more money if you were to rebuild it. Today as is. Are you probably going to? Probably not. Like if something happened, you even zoning, you might not be able to rebuild a 3-family at all. And then if you were gonna rebuild it as a 3-family, you'd probably go with the lesser materials, the drywall of the world, and maybe not crown moldings.
Yeah.
So that's where functional replacement cost comes in. It's kind of like, all right, insurance company's gonna meet us in the middle here. True replacement cost might be $900,000. Functional, maybe it's $7. They'll kind of meet you in the middle if they offer that coverage.
And we'll prompt the question. I already know the answer. Will that meet loan requirements when you go for your mortgage? Those numbers.
Yeah.
It will, right?
Yep. Yep. Well, yeah. So, and what won't is if you have a thing called actual cash value.
ACV.
And you done with ACV? Nah, not me.
Nah, not
so
me.
That you don't know me apparently. So yeah, that's cash is king. It sounds great, but actual cash value is like your car. And sometimes you get an endorsement on your car where you can get replacement costs, but it's very, very rare. But you ever hear that? You drive off the lot, your car depreciates.
Yep.
You already owe more than it's worth.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works for the home. If you have a home built in 1900 and you're like, oh, Rick, I want this thing insured for $300,000. That's what I'm buying it for, not $9. And I'm like, first of all, your mortgage, if you have a legit mortgage, will not accept it. They require a replacement cost.
Correct.
And if you are an investor, that's really the only time we'll get into this conversation. Maybe you have 10 houses and you're really concerned with just, God forbid this thing burns to the ground. What can I get back? You're not concerned with partial claims or anything like that. So, you want to go a little into it? How that works?
Yeah, I think we definitely see that a lot on the investor side, and that's the question I always ask is what's important to you? For most people, it is if this place burns, what am I getting paid out to rebuild it? I think one of the things that we always look at too is just from a condominium standpoint. I think that's another kind of, I hate to branch off of what you asked me, but I think that's also something too that I just think that this off the top of my head is a good topic.
Stick to the topic I asked you about.
Yeah, I'll eventually come back. I think that's one of my pet peeves. I'll kind of do one of these things.
I'm always directly to the point. I never go around, right, Ken? Me and John, we stick right to the point of what we're talking about.
You never stick to the point.
The whole time.
At all.
I think you lose the point.
I end up not knowing what we're talking about by the end of it, yeah.
It's usually like Rick's conversation is the point, then it's some Harry Potter imitation, then it's some type of other imitation.
Rebuild the Rabbits!
Then that's the point.
I don't like want. That's okay. Anyways,
condos. Condos, right? It kind of sparked a nerve with me, as the kids would say, right? That's another thing too, where we see that a lot, where you're really only required to insure up to a certain percentage of your loan amount. And that's just going to cover you for the walls end piece, right? So from the studs of that condo wall, that is what you're covered for. But we see people that want, full replacement cost on a condo, when in actuality, anything from walls out is covered by the master policy.
Yeah. And some masters are really good, and they're covering walls in, which is you'll see as improvements and betterments.
Yeah.
So a lot of times the loan. But it happens more often. It happens pretty often.
It's happened more.
That we issue a condo policy,
yeah.
And then we're like, "Where's the payment?" 2 weeks later, then I guess they found out they didn't really need it for the mortgage, so they're not collecting it at closing or whatever. So it's still very good to have it because you're not going to have. First of all, there could be a high deductible on that master policy. First off, so if it's just your unit. The master's not going to want to file a claim for your little unit there. So, you're still better off having one, plus your contents inside of your condo. So, yeah.
One What if you do home improvements, right, Rick? So let's say you finish that basement or you add an addition. From a client standpoint, what should you do to make sure you have the right type of insurance, right? Because you're adding to your home, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think is a good practice?
Yeah. A lot of times people forget to tell us. So that's one thing. If you're the big thing is if you're gonna move out during during the renovations, that's huge. You're gonna tell us that because we're gonna do a vacant under reno policy, for the time being there. And if you're gonna a lot of people don't have that kind of liquid cash. They're gonna refinance to get a construction loan. I'm doing one right now. Yeah. So this specific company I have it with lets me edit it to occupied renovation, so I really don't have to get a whole new policy. I just have to endorse the policy. So depending on what you have, really just tell us that what's going on is that at the end of the day. I mean, that's the bottom line. Because then you might have an easy policy like I have here, where I can be like, all right, this company does occupied reno. I don't have to rewrite the whole thing. It's just going to be an endorsement on here. Some companies not as cool with that, So if you're staying in there, you should be good. Make sure whoever's working on your home is licensed and insured. I mean, it's huge because at the end of the day, if something does happen, your insurance company's nice enough to pay it. They want to be able to go after whoever did it. I mean, at the end of the day. So if your plumber, puts I think I am not handy whatsoever, but I have one where the plumber put the cap on too tight or something, and it ended up being a complete $20,000 claim. So yeah, stuff like that. So
we saw a few months ago, both of us, remember we had this one where somebody was adding on an attached garage, and the bank needed a new binder with the amount of that garage, but they also needed coverage for materials.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
Yep.
So we're kind of getting into the weeds here on this. We don't want to lose our audience, but at the same token, I think it's important because
I think they're already lost.
Yeah,
so
probably. I mean, it is 8:21. So
this is just for me and Al to just before we go back to the
just talk
for the day. Yeah. I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's only been 11 hours, I think. Right.
But it should have been 12. I walked in late, but that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So we ended up finding out that we had a bank that required cost of material to be covered. So just you want to double check those things too to make sure if the policy can be endorsed or if it already is. Make sure it's correct, and kind of like Rick said, if you're doing any huge additions, let us know. We want to make sure that the policy is updated and you have coverage for that new addition on your home, and you're not shortchanging yourself. So.
And some things might not even cost you anything. Don't always think when you call us it's going to be more money. If you're adding a pool, for the 99% of the time it's not going to cost you extra. That's a myth. So unless you have a safe home discount, which I feel like a lot of companies don't really give anymore, but
we don't see it too often.
Yeah, I don't see it often anymore. So yeah, so that's pretty bottom line, guys. Market value, obviously everything's skyrocketing. Ideally, I guess in the same breath, so is construction materials as well. So everything's literally going up. So it's not like it's just the market and the construction materials are staying the same and cost to rebuild. So everything is going up. Make sure your policy has either an inflation guard. Make sure it's not one of those policies that has the same coverage every year. Because if you have that same policy for 10 years, you will be very underinsured.
Yeah.
Most companies build that into your limit there. And then, if you have a surplus market, that's a lot of times when they don't do that, right? Like Lloyd's of London kind of thing.
Whatever it is. And
they keep it at that. They let you insure it for that, but you don't ever want to come down to where you're insuring half of your home without knowing it, what they call co-insurance. Yep. So I will not get into that. We'll be here for an hour and a half.
Yeah, we don't. So, that'll be a topic for another full day.
I would have needed Al to stop and get me a coffee if we were going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I would have sucked out of those today. But anyways, Dan, plans for the weekend?
I'm gonna go rock climbing.
Rock climbing?
Yeah.
Like indoor? Yeah. Where
I'm not sure.
I'm so mad I asked him. That's so much cooler than I have no plans for that.
That is so much cooler than
wow. All right, Dan. Cool.
What do you, I don't know what I'm doing. Probably, I know I'll be watching my son all day tomorrow.
Baby G.
Baby G.
The man, dude. Great kid.
I might be kind of low key this weekend. I don't think I'm doing much. What are you up to?
I'm gonna be low key myself. I'm gonna watch some March Madness.
That's right. PC tonight.
Gonna be great.
Big game. My bracket is in shambles.
If anyone's bracket is not in shambles, we're not the problem. You are.
My
something
bracket's
wrong
a
with you.
shambles.
If you have a good bracket right now, there's got to be something wrong with you because it's been madness.
So I had Gonzaga going all the way.
Yeah, rough night. Yeah.
I mean, it's destroyed.
Yeah.
I had Kentucky going
Yeah.
to the Final Four, destroyed. So I'm gonna root for PC, man. I mean,
Go Zona. Yeah, I agree.
Go Zona, yeah.
Yeah, I have them winning it.
I had them, then
Still
I changed.
alive.
I had them, then I changed last minute.
You know what happens, man? It's like a multiple choice exam. I mean, you got to go with the first one. You think
Go with C. Go with C as much as you can.
I'm a biggest proponent of going back and being like, oh, I'll leave that one checked and just go back to that one, and then you end up changing it, and it's probably wrong. But
I think it'll be a good game. I think
PC?
PC, yeah. I think it's gonna be.
they're 7-point dogs, which I think they cover.
Yeah.
You heard
They
it here
cover.
first. You heard it here second.
Lock it.
Lock it, book it. All right. All right, guys. I hope you have a good weekend. Go PC.
Have a good weekend,
Root
everybody.
for your local teams. I had them losing first round because I'm just one of those guys. But all right.
Have a good weekend, guys.